Welcome to 24 Hour Sports. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And after the breaking news with Aaron Rodgers, the Jets basically saying it's a done deal, I have some room for concern with this deal. There's a lot of things that I'm going to get into throughout the entirety of this video, talking about this is a similar path that I've seen and that I know all too well. So first off, let's talk about how this news broke. So Aaron Rodgers, he does his weekly thing on the Pat McAfee show when he's not overseas or, going on adventurous trips, doing things of that nature. So he came on there and he basically said, by all intentions, in the coming season, 2023-24, I intend to play for the New York Jets. And interesting turn that he had on it, kind of throwing shots at the media. We saw the text with Adam Schefter saying, lose my number, things like that. But he said specifically that, the wish list, demanding Alan Lazard. I understand Alan Lazard is a solid player, but you can't really make the case to me that a team is just going and hunting after Alan Lazard. You can't make the case to me that a team is just going and hunting after Nathaniel Hackett as if it doesn't tie into you at all. Nathaniel Hackett was your offensive coordinator before he went to Denver. Alan Lazard, one of your top receivers from Green Bay. You can't tell me that in some way, in some scenario, that doesn't align in a common move. I'm not buying that from Aaron Rodgers. And I think Aaron Rodgers has really become one of those guys. It's everybody, it's never him. Like I said, all I was talking about last season, I throw the ball, you're not running a good route, you're not making a good catch because I'm not completing the ball, so it's not my fault. I throw an interception, that's not the timing of the route. That's not how I wanted you to attack the ball. It's never Aaron Rodgers. And I'm getting to a point where I'm kind of fed up. And like I say, talk about quarterbacks who are full of themselves. Now we're getting into where I really think. When I say I see a move, a path that was all too familiar, that I know all too well, I'm talking about Russell Wilson to the Broncos. And this is why it's important for me to see the, actual compensation of the deal, because I need to see, are we mortgaging our future to get Aaron Rodgers thinking we got a Super Bowl run? How are we making this work? Is Aaron Rodgers is he worth 2 firsts? Is he worth 3 firsts? What is he going to command from the New York Jets? And what are the Green Bay Packers willing to get? What is the limit? So I think that's the most important part of this thing, because the Broncos, they did it. They got Russell Wilson, and it just was a disaster. And talking about play on the field, this is not about Aaron Rodgers. This is about strictly him as a football player. Let's talk about some of his stats last season, because we want to see just where is it going? What are we getting? Understand, Aaron Rodgers is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Nobody's questioning that. He's won a Super Bowl, MVPs, done it all that you could possibly do in the NFL. But right now, he's on the far side of 30. And looking at last season, this was a pretty bad season for Aaron Rodgers. 26 touchdowns, 12 picks, and games that he's played in seasons that he's played 16 or more games. This was his lowest in pass yardage. It's tough all around. And, he got sacked. Quarterback rating was down. All of these things were down. And we're going to talk about Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, Randall. We had some veterans in that room. We didn't really have the tight end like we want. Robert Tonyan, Mercedes Lewis, the guys like that. But I think that was a pretty solid offense. You can make the case to me that that's a better offense than what you're stepping into when you're going over to the New York Jets, because I look at the offensive line. You still got Dwayne Brown, still got Mekhi Becton, question marks at either tackle. And that's why I say I need to know the compensation, because are we giving up that first round pick to get Aaron Rodgers? We need this pick. We need to try to get a crack at a Skoronski, a Paris Johnson, a Broderick Jones. We need to try to get a crack in those sweepstakes. And I think you're potentially missing out on that shot. So now they got Alan Lazard. Elijah Moore, he doesn't even want to be there. Maybe that's going to change with Aaron Rodgers. You're not playing with Zach Wilson and Mike White, which I don't think Mike White was the worst quarterback. But now you also got Garrett Wilson. He's a young guy as well. Although I think he's more talented than Watson and Doubs combined, he's still a young guy. He still has some stuff that he has to learn as far as separating and getting open in the National Football League. So now I look at it. We know the defense. We know Sauce, Michael Carter, the safeties, the linebackers, Quentin Williams, Jermaine Johnson, all of those guys that they have. A ferocious defense, a top 10 defense in the NFL. The Broncos, what were they this past year? A top 10 defense. So when I turn it and I say it like this, I don't think that Aaron Rodgers is a plug and play. We say quarterback away way too often. In some of these teams, nobody's ever a quarterback away. People are saying the Carolina Panthers, Brian Burns, J.C. Horn, Jeremy Chin, now Von Bell. They're saying they're a quarterback away. That's not the case. You're not going to plug Stroud and all those guys. You're not going to plug that and expect to get a Super Bowl out of that. So I think you have to be really, really weary and really, concerned when we're going all in for Aaron Rodgers, because I don't think at this day and age, at this stage of his career, he's worth it. I talk about him as a person. Now getting back to that. Why does this have to be on the Pat McAfee show? Why is everything, that's like your outlet? And I understand the connection you and Pat have, but you're saying you want to control the narrative. You want to control the narrative. You don't want the fake news out there. You don't want none of that. But yet you don't give nobody an opportunity because you're sitting quiet. You're sitting way in the waters. And now we're waiting until we get on Pat McAfee's show to break it down, to talk about it. And I just think there's a lot of different ways he could have went about it. Now, what I really want to get into is because he said specifically, they gave me every indication around the organization after the season that it was over. Who in that organization gave you that indication? Was it Matt LaFleur? Was it the offensive coordinator? Was it who gave you that indication? Because I don't think that the Packers, if they had a choice, would move on from you and go to Jordan Love, a guy who hasn't seen significant action at this point in his career. He's going into year 3, year 4. So now, that's not true. To sit here and say that, and then he already pulled the vaccination card thing. Now he's pulling this. I just think Aaron Rodgers is at a stage where you can't tell him no wrong. And we talk about the team that he's going to, quarterback away, young team, ready to play. That's the problem. The young team. We talk about Garrett Wilson. Are you going to get on Garrett Wilson? Are you going to throw him under the bus? If Breece Hall misses a block in pass protection, are you going to throw him under the bus? Alan Lazard, are you going to favor him because you've played with him before over Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson, who I think are both more talented? What are you going to do with the offensive line? Are you going to galvanize the guys to play for you? How are you going to build relationships with the defense? You need to treat your receivers, your people, with the same respect that you treat everybody in the organization, from the trainers to the coaching staff to the linebacker coach, secondary coach. I don't think he has that in him. And we talk about old quarterbacks breaking bad habits. I think he's stuck in his ways. He doesn't have the likes of a Sean Payton and Robert Saleh. If this move backfires, he's a guy who could also be on the hot seat. So now, looking at the entirety of the situation, it's good. It's nice to bring in Aaron Rodgers. He is a upgrade from Zach Wilson and Mike White. I'm not taking that away from him, but we have to be careful because this can backfire and everybody in that organization can be looking very, very bad if this doesn't go as planned.